Good afternoon, you handsome lot, and it is Friday yet again, and on the ramp we've got a 2014 1 litre Ford Fiesta Ecoboost that's come all the way from South Wales, and it's covered 33,000 miles, and we're going to be doing today, you guessed it, a cam belt and water pump replacement. First things first, we're going to get this earth lead disconnected just on the passenger strut tower. Right, after we've now disconnected that negative, we're going to jump round now and remove the exhaust, because this is personally the hardest part of it. But to get to the exhaust, there's lots of stuff we need to take off. All this intake, or lots of pipe work down the side of the engine. Now on these, you don't have to remove the air conditioning pump, but if you've got the machine, you might as well take the pump off, because it's going to make your job a lot easier. Now while that's degassing, I'm going to be plodding on, removing all this piping work around the left hand side of the engine. With all that pipe work now removed into a nice little pile, we can now send the vehicle up in the air and get the air conditioning pump off, alternator belt. I've undone the aircon pipes up here and there, so we haven't got to keep going up and down, up and down. And even though I'm doing a lot of these, I'm still trying to find the perfect procedure, time consuming, and how to do it, if that makes sense. As you can see, I've got this vehicle up in the air now, and we've also got my lovely little receptacle, which we are now draining out the coolant out of it. I've removed the air conditioning pipe off the pump that comes around, that goes up, just so we can gain access to that 10mm on the aircon a little bit better, because these are prone for seizing and I don't want anything to go wrong today. It's got to be going perfect. So we're going to go ahead, get this plastic cover off and the alternator belt. Well, that air conditioning pump is now off, but that bolt had sea-soldered, and if you have a little look at the ends on them, what happens is the aluminium powders up and, well, they seize in, and it is a nightmare. They can snap, but you've got to be careful. And once again, the Pickle Vibra gun with a 10mm attachment has got me out of trouble again. But there we go. That is that pump now off. Well, believe it or not, today is a good day, because you know these manifold bolts on the turbo? They normally pull the threads and they twist and they cause all sorts of problems. Every single one has come out perfectly, and yes, this one has got the usual wastegate rattle, haven't they all? But that cat now there is just dangling, so we're going to take the vehicle back up in the air now, and we're going to get the cat off and get the sump off. Now with that sumperoonie now out the way, if we have a little look at the oil pickup, the moment that everybody likes, and it is absolutely spotless. It's like brand new. It doesn't even need taking off and cleaning. But however, if we have a little look at the sump, we have got quite a bit of black sludge in there, which is going to get all that cleaned up in time. Right, let's move around now to getting the engine timed up, which I've already done it, as you can see by me two little lines on the flywheel and the pin on the crankshaft there. You see it? And we're just going to remove that starter motor up there now. The lighting's awful today. And how I do that top bolt, which can be a little bit of a pain, is up through the inner wheel arch with long extensions, and you can get it. Can you see it there, that top one? You can get it through there with a long extension. Now you'll probably realise by now on these jobs there's a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down. As you can see, we're back down on the, well, at working height, and we now need to move around and get the fuel line, fuel rail off, high pressure fuel pump, coil packs and the rocker cover. as you've just seen me remove that rocker cover and the fuel rail, but I always tell people to be careful with the fuel rails when removing them, because let me just show you where they fit onto the top of the injectors. There is a little rubber O-ring. As you can see, pulling it off has damaged it. But however, I have got another kit. Is it in here? Yeah, I've got another kit that I've got in there from one that I did a while ago where I needed to replace all of them. But we've got it covered. As you can see now, I have got these camshafts locked with the proper tools, and there's a laser timing tool. Now what I like to do on the end of the camshaft pulleys here, I do like to put a little bit of green paint on the pulley and the camshaft carrier cap, so I know exactly where everything is going. And back up again. I've got the torque multiplier connected to the block around the back there, and we've undone that 21mm, so that crank pulley now is nice and free. We can remove this torque multiplier and get that crank pulley off and make a start getting the timing cover off. Now I've gone ahead and every single bolt now is out of that timing cover, and it is in my little piece of cardboard box. Flip it round so we know exactly where every bolt is going, because they are different lengths. Now for those that want to know where I jack these up when the engine mount is off, you have to put the dry shaft mount back on at the back here for you to be able to put the jack on it to hold the engine. Now with all that disconnected, we get a pry bar and gently just go at this corner here, and it will just pull off that block. Now also at the same time get a little receptacle so you're catching all that water at the same time. Well, I have now moved around and removed the old timing belt which is here. I want to show you. To be honest with you, it is not in bad condition. There's hardly any delamination of it on the inside either. As you can see by that oil strainer, it is nice and clean. Now, talking about clean, I've gone ahead as well, cleaned all that fascia up on the block and the head, and also removed that little filter which goes down by there, and that is the feed for the turbo. I want to get this timing cover back on by 12 o'clock, well 12 o'clock by 1 o'clock lunchtime. So I'm going to plug away now. I'm going to get this filter put back in and the brand new timing belt put back on. Before we put the brand new timing belt on, I have gone ahead and fitted a brand new oil pump belt as well. And these belts are so simple to fit. 2 fingers, click them into the camshafts like so, around the crank pulley, the tensioner, and once that belt is on you'll have slack there and slack there. Now the crank pulley is free floating, so when you pull the pin your tension will be absolutely perfect. We'll go ahead now and you'll see the belt boinging. You can play a tune on that now. With that belt now fitted, we can move around to my favourite part, and it's getting everything nice and clean and making sure everything's nice and clean and putting the sealant on. The sealant that we use, if you don't know by now, is a BGA silicone sealing compound, and it's absolutely insane. Also by there is a little rubber O-ring. We've replaced that as well, and I like to manipulate a little bit of red rubber grease into it, so as we're fitting it, it's all fitting into place nicely. Right, we're going to give that a couple of minutes now, get a bit of a skin in it. Now I think a lot of people, let me flip it around, I think a lot of people go wrong when they're putting sealant on. They slap it on and then put it straight on. You have to leave it go off 2 to 5 minutes depending on how warm it is outside, and then put it on. You've got to let that skin, that is the key to no leaks, personally. And I can't believe somebody has just dropped some jam donuts on my toolbox. It's a good job I'm on a diet, isn't it? Right, well, we've been for a little bit of food and I'm back on the game now. We have got to go ahead, put the crank pulley back on, connect the torque multiplier, lots of stuff to go on really. Got a new friction washer, new crankshaft oil seal. Now I do want to be getting this car running for about 4 o'clock, so I am going to be plodding on and moving on with the job. I've inserted the new crankshaft oil seal and also the thrust washer. Now these crankshaft pulleys, make sure that you inspect the magnetic ring at the back. If it's damaged, replace it, and we need to get this timed up correctly. There is a little hole using this little pin that goes through like so, and that aligns up with the timing cover. Once you finish with that torque multiplier, make sure that you put it back in the box, because you don't want to be losing anything. It's such a valuable tool. Now the timing pin for the crankshaft pulley, if you can pull it out nice and easy like that, it is absolutely perfect. Now we've hashtagged and dated the oil pump cover on all our lines. Are lining up perfectly. As you can see, I've gone ahead and cleaned that sump down, and well, that block and everything is like brand new. Come round to the sump now. As you seen at the beginning of the video, it was all sludgy, so it's all looking like brand new. We've also put some sealant on, which I'm now ready to chuck it back on the engine. Well, we are making lots and lots and lots of progress now. We've got all this side of the engine back on, the cat's back on. I'm literally just got the air conditioning filling the system again. And how are we for time? 3:05. I've got, where's it gone? A brand new rocker cover to go back on, so I'm going to go ahead now and chuck that rocker cover on, get the fuel rail on. And also I've put some new seals on the injectors. It's easier to do them now than with the rocker cover on. So anyway, let's get cracking. Right, well, we have absolutely smashed this one out of the park today. This vehicle is all back together, as you can see. The only thing I'm going to do, should I say, take the vacuum pump off the end of the camshaft there and just make sure that that filter in the bottom there is nice and clean, which it is. We can get that inserted back into the engine now. Some fresh coolant to go in it. I've already put the oil in it. Believe it or not, I'm waiting for an air filter and a set of spark plugs. By the time I've done all this, they should be here. Finally, after a long day, this car is all back together. And what time are we on? 4:15. So we ain't far off time. I've already spun it over, got the fuel pressure up, made sure that we've got no leaks. We can get on the key now and give it a big start, I think. Oh. There we go. First start, no warning lights, everything beautiful. Look at that now, eh? It's running and sounding like a little Singer sewing machine. All that smoke now will burn off. That's just off the grease where I've off the power loop plus where I've squirted it on the manifold to get the bolts out. I'm going to let it tick over for a little bit now and keep an eye on the temperature, RPM, the short term and the long term. Make sure that it's running nice and healthily. Now that is a newest tool, which is an MOT4 by launch. Powerful that is, and it's a sub £1,000 as well. Banging tool, absolutely banging tool. So yeah, I was planning on this taking me all today and a little bit tomorrow morning, but we have finished it off in one day. It's not hard to do. Everything went fairly smoothly apart from that air conditioning bolt. Right, I'm going to let this car tick over, get up to temperature and make sure we've got no leaks. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend. But anyway, this car can now go back down to South Wales first thing in the morning. Let's get it sent. All have a mint weekend.